What's up, gangsters, and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Nwadei MMA, where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly ask for you guys' thoughts, because you guys are the MMA community and there's always shit going on, ain't that right? Now, a few hours ago, Dustin Poirier decided that he had the time of day and started up a storm in the UFC lightweight division. So it has now been announced by Dustin Poirier himself that he's gonna do one more. He's going to have one more fight. His last fight isn't going to be the one that was against Islam Makhachev. Now, of course, there's a lot of fights we want to see from Dustin Poirier. I mean, there's that Nate Diaz fight that eluded us for so long. There's the Conor McGregor fourth fight that we still, I guess, want to see, right? And then some of us just want to see him fight another top contender or champion. Now, we're going to get more into this, but this isn't the only thing that has been stirring around the MMA community. We have some beef in the featherweight division that might not get settled between Diego Lopes and his next opponents. And we also have Johnny Walker, who just came off of a knockout loss to Volkan Ozdemir, decided to move up weight classes. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on all of these and more. Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment sections down below. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off first with Diego Lopes. So he just is coming off of that UFC 303 fight and UFC 300, his knockout win over Sodiq Yusuff, which was very impressive in the first round. And then at UFC 303, where he took Dan Ige on 3 hours notice, he took Brian Ortega on 2 weeks notice, and he was the only one who made weight, yet still won a unanimous decision victory and almost submitted Dan Ige twice in the first 2 rounds. Let's not forget that. Now, shout out Dan Ige because he's a gangster. And if you want to hear more about my reaction to UFC 303, not only did I drop a live reaction on this channel, but also I talked about it on the Will vs. The Way MMA podcast, which y'all heard me talk about before. So y'all can go check that out if y'all want to hear more about that. But he's coming off of this huge momentous run. I mean, this dude has had, what, 5 fights in the last calendar year and has won 4 of them. And 3 of those 5 he won by finish, 1 by submission, 2 by knockout, and he's 1-1 with decisions. His very first fight came against Movsar on short notice, and we might be seeing that one again. Now, Movsar, for those of you who aren't aware of who this guy is, top featherweight contender. He's 8-0 in the UFC. However, he's not getting a title shot next, and I don't even know how close he is because 1, Ilya won't fight him, and 2, he has all 8 of his wins coming by decision, which we all know Dana doesn't like, right? However, what I will say is that it is extremely hard to go 8-0 in the UFC. Now, along with those 8 decisions, 4 of them have come by split decision, which is why people are kind of iffy on if he deserves a title shot or not. One of those split decisions, or close decisions at least, coming from Diego Lopes, who also almost finished him, right? Now, after UFC 303, Movsar was saying that Diego Lopes's greatest win was a loss to him. Very disrespectful. But what a lot of people aren't seeing is that Diego Lopes actually called him out multiple times. Even after UFC 300, he called him out, which was, what, 3 months ago? And Movsar was silent. He wasn't saying a goddamn word. And now that Diego Lopes might be 1 fight away from that title shot, and Movsar wants to squeak his way in there, now he's calling him out. Now he's saying he wants to fight him. Now he's saying, what did he say exactly? Now he's saying, hey Diego, I want to give you a rematch at the Sphere because Funkmaster is running for his life, and this time I'm gonna finish you. We'll see. However, I don't think this one's gonna happen. Why? Because Diego Lopes wants that Brian Ortega fight. To be honest, I think it does more for him anyways. Bigger name, bigger opportunity, and I think after beating a guy like Brian Ortega, who's coming off that Yair Rodriguez win, that he would fight the champion anyways. Given the streak that he's on, given the amount of finishes he has, and the excitement that comes with the Diego Lopes name, and the favors he's done for the UFC, I don't believe that that's so far-fetched. Now, Diego Lopes replied and said, have you finally realized that the way the UFC pays attention to you is by mentioning my name? Or are you afraid that tomorrow morning I'll be in your place in the rankings? It took you 3 months to get back to me. Sit back and watch the big guys do work. Now, that might be the best response he could have possibly made, because I wanted to see that fight. I still want to see Diego Lopes get back, but I want to see him get that Brian Ortega fight as well, because that was a big opportunity. It was top 5, and it will happen at the Sphere if Brian Ortega lets it. Now, Brian Ortega did accept that fight on short notice, but we've been hearing that he wants to move up to 155 for his next fight. He was planning on doing a favor for the UFC for International Fight Week, and that's why he even took that fight against Diego Lopes. But if he is really wanting to go up to 155, I don't see why he would take Diego Lopes at the Sphere at 145. You know what I mean? So it might actually be Movsar and Diego Lopes at the Sphere at 145. Let me know what you guys think about that, or if he's going to get that Brian Ortega fight. Either way, I feel like it's a #1 contender fight, and we might be seeing Diego Lopes fight the winner of Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway. And also, it has been rumored that Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria will also be at the Sphere. Interesting stuff. Now, moving on really quick before we get into the whole Dustin Poirier situation. Johnny Walker says he wants to move up to heavyweight. Given his latest couple of knockout defeats at light heavyweight, I mean, he's gotten to the upper echelon, but in light heavyweight, it's just very skilled heavyweights. The division of light heavyweights are just very skilled and athletic heavyweights. Johnny Walker's always been big for light heavyweight, which is saying a lot. And given that he's had his times where he's been super technical, like against Thiago Santos, and he's looked very good, but that takes a lot of focus. And when you're a big guy who's had a lot of quick finishes, sometimes your patience runs out, and I feel like that's why he leaves openings for himself to get caught, because he's constantly trying to finish the opponent himself and leaving himself open while doing that. There's a certain risk you take when you're trying to finish your opponents. However, up at heavyweight, anyone who lands a big shot can get a knockout. That is true. Johnny Walker cutting that much weight could be affecting his chin. Now, his chin might already be gone. I mean, we saw on the regional scene that he got knocked out like 3 or 4 times in one fight, and that's kind of where his chin got left behind. And that in the UFC, you know, he's been knocked out a few times as well, and they're all like devastatingly bad. But at heavyweight, you're dealing with less skilled opponents. Of course, they're bigger, so if they touch you, you're gonna go to bed anyways. But that was always the case with Johnny Walker. So I feel like at heavyweight, him being as technical as I've seen him be, he can actually be a problem. Now, he's calling for a top 15 opponent right away, which I think he might do well in his debut at heavyweight. However, I also think that getting to that top 5, going against a guy like Sergey Pavlovich or Cyril Gane or Alexander, that might be a scary ordeal. So hopefully it was the weight cutting diminishing his chin a little bit more than it already was diminished. Hopefully we see him go on a nice win streak at heavyweight. This brings more excitement back to Johnny Walker and his appearances in the UFC, because for a second there, after losing to Volkan, I feel like a lot of people kind of lost hope in Johnny Walker, or a lot of people were like, maybe he should retire young because of his chin. But now, I think we're a little bit more excited. What do you guys think? Now, moving on to the reason why a lot of us are here. Dustin Poirier starting some major shit. I mean, this just made the lightweight division exciting again. So what we've all been waiting on was for Islam Makhachev to fight Arman Tsarukyan, right? And then we figured out that post Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev at UFC 302, Arman Tsarukyan is suspended for doing that whole shit, punching a fan at UFC 300, being angry as usual. He's suspended and isn't going to be able to fight Islam for at least 6 months if he does this little anti-bullying campaign. If not, it might be like a year or something like that. And with that being said, Dustin Poirier said, if Arman can't fight, I'm down to run it back. Now, right away, Islam Makhachev said, no thanks. And then he said, I needed a new target. And I guess we could kind of all understand why. He just fought him. He just finished him. And it was a hard fucking fight. But shit, I'll be down to see that again. I think we all will. But I would also be down to see Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. But Islam's saying that I need a new target, I need a new opponent. Then brings into the equation someone he hasn't fought before. One guy he hasn't fought before, who's been on the sideline for a while, is Michael fucking Chandler. Michael Chandler has been offered Islam Makhachev for October. Now, Michael Chandler, after being offered Islam Makhachev for October, also went out on Twitter or X, whatever you guys call it, to say, Conor McGregor, I'll be waiting. Pretty much, essentially, that's what he said. He said, I'll be waiting if you're ready to go in September at the Sphere. If not, then, well, he didn't really say. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking Conor McGregor isn't going to fight. To be honest, in my opinion, I think he is going to fight, and I think he will fight even this year. And Alex Pereira kind of said the same thing as well, if you respect his opinion more than mine. He said that, you know, we're all different and we're all warriors, and, you know, to be exact, he said there are different situations. He doesn't need to fight with a broken toe because it limits you a lot. Conditions are different. He already made his life, worked to conquer what he conquered. I'm only halfway there, conquering my stuff. For me, it was better to fight even with a broken toe. I think he did the best. Maybe instead I would have done the same. You know, if he was in Conor's position, pretty much he would have done the same. So hopefully that takes the backlash off of Conor a little bit, because yes, he is rich and set for life and does not need a fight. So why would he go into a fight against another killer with a major injury like that? I mean, the toe was fucking broken, and no matter what anyone says or what anyone has fought with in the past, at the end of the day, it's still fucking very painful to not only get through a training camp and get in the proper shape that you need to be with that injury, but also to step in there and fight to your full capabilities. And the biggest thing Conor McGregor needs right now is a win. So let me know if y'all think that Conor still should have fought, but either way, moving forward, there's still doubt on if he's gonna fight. Conor said, real recognize real. I'm excited for my new date. When is that gonna be? I don't know. Do they want him for the Sphere? I don't know. Do they want him for October? I don't know. But what I do know is that Michael Chandler might be done waiting, or at least it's seeming like he's having his pick of the litter. Why? Coming off of a loss to Dustin Poirier? I don't know. But getting back to the narrative, this all started from Dustin Poirier calling out Conor McGregor, saying that I beat you twice because it felt so nice. Yabumski, saying that pretty much he's ready for another fight, for his last one. And after saying that, Michael Chandler didn't even add him, but then went on to say, no thanks, retire, man, we're good. Dustin Poirier obviously didn't care for that, and Michael Chandler, you can see why he said it. I mean, obviously he's worried about Dustin Poirier taking his fight that he's waited so long for, right? But Dustin real quick rebutted, choked your ass out and you haven't fought since. Pipe down, Muscle Mike. That was a good one. That was funny. But after that scenario, Michael's been talking to Islam, saying that American wrestling is better than Sambo and that he's never been taken down and yada yada yada. And then Islam replied, you're unreliable, one tweet from your daddy Conor McGregor, and you'll run away, and that he needs a reliable opponent. All this shit is going down, which means none of us know who the real #1 contender is. For fuck's sake, Michael Chandler, rarely does he lie, and he's saying that the UFC offered him Islam. If that is the truth, that could be them trying to free up Conor McGregor so that he could fight Dustin Poirier for his final fight. Not only would that legitimize McGregor as the next title contender if he gets a win, but what it will also do is give Dustin Poirier another chance to make a shit ton of money to settle this beef with Conor McGregor. It's another massive fight, and if he wins, he could retire with peace, right? At the same time, getting an Islam Makhachev and Michael Chandler fight, which is also another big fight, even though Michael Chandler might not deserve it. And it gives Michael Chandler still an opportunity to fight Conor McGregor, while giving Islam Makhachev an opportunity to fight Conor McGregor and just another payday against Michael Chandler. So there's a lot of shit going on. What do y'all think happens next? What do y'all think happens with Islam Makhachev? Who will he fight next? Is he gonna fight Arman Tsarukyan like he was promised after UFC 300? Because Arman is suspended, and Islam, you know, he doesn't like to wait unless it's like really Ramadan, right? So is he gonna fight Michael Chandler, or do we even want to see that Dustin Poirier rematch? I mean, it was a fun fight the first time around. Who does Islam Makhachev fight next? Or do they just reschedule him versus Charles Oliveira? That's not a new target, but I'll tell you what, that'll get me out my seat. Fuck that whole loss to Arman Tsarukyan. It should have been 5 rounds anyways, and he could have, you know, you could see where he could have won that fight anyways. I say fuck it, man. The champ has a name. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, Yabumski.